Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me here tonight. We are going to work on more of the Quilt As You Go process for the Splendid Sampler 2. We are going to actually take two of our pieces and sew them together today. So I will show you that process. This is, again, the Quilt As You Go process for the Splendid Sampler 2. And we are going to connect it with a little binding strip, and all of our pieces will soon come together. So thank you guys for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together for about an hour here. So again, tonight, you guys, Splendid Sampler 2, putting our Quilt As You Go pieces together. So let's get started. I hope you all had a great holiday weekend, and you'll have to tell me about it in the comments. So thanks again, you guys. Okay. Hello, everyone. So, all right. So if you remember, last time we took a bunch of our blocks, we sewed them together, and then quilted them. So instead of quilting this project when we're done, we are quilting it as we go. So I've been sewing together 4 blocks with a little sashing piece and a little square in the middle. That's called a cornerstone. And then we've been quilting. So I have a bunch all ready to go, and I thought we could put 2 of them together today. So when they're together, that is how we create our rows. So this is one that we have done. This is a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we actually need one more on this row. But you can see, so this is a group, and this is a group. And we have put another piece in the middle, and you can see it's not quilted. So that's our connecting piece. And if you look at the back, we have a strip right there as well. It's almost like binding a quilt, and that'll be clear as we go. But this allows us to make these smaller groups, quilt them, which is fun. It's so much fun doing these smaller little bits, and then we can connect them all later. Which is what we're going to do tonight. And then magically, we will have a finished quilt almost at the same time as we have finished all the blocks. And that's what's going to be awesome. We are going to be able to skip all the other steps of making a quilt because we're doing them early. All right, you guys, so I think we will do these 2 together. I haven't really laid them out or anything. We're just going to put these 2 together. I think they look okay next to each other. First, we need to cut them down to size, and the size of my pieces here are going to be 13 inches. I'm just paging through your comments and stuff too. All right, let's get the cutting mat out. This is that Olfa expanding cutting mat, so I'm going to just fold it out so we are a bit larger. Okay, so this needs to be 13 inches. I don't have a 13-inch square, though. This is a 12.5-inch square, so it's close. From the center line out, I know it should be 6.5 inches, because 6.5 and 6.5 are the 13. Ultimately, when we worked on the Splendid Sampler quilt, we know that our finished size of each block is 6 inches. So I have a 6-inch block, a 6-inch block. When it's done, finished, meaning inside the quilt and the whole quilt is done, this will be 6 inches, this will be 6 inches, and then I added a 1/2-inch little mini border, so like the sashing in the middle. So the 6 and 6 is 12, and then the 1/2-inch is 12.5, but it's not all completely sewn in the quilt yet, so we need to add a 1/4 inch around all the edges, which gives us another 1/2 inch. So this right now is 6 1/4, and this is 6 1/4, and then a 1/2. So that's our 13. So I'm gonna measure for my 6 1/2. I'm gonna have that go right down my center sashing line. And this is not going to be totally perfect here. I mean, I could match this up and then put a ruler here and then cut, but I think I'm going to just get it really close. So 6.5 down the middle, and then I need 6.5 on the side as well. So let's push this way up. Like I said, I might have to splurge on some new rulers for Christmas because I hate these rulers. I don't know. I just don't like these rulers at all. I like having a square ruler, but I wish they had more lines. I mean, this was intended for some project, for like this pineapple shape project, but for what I'm using it for, it's pretty annoying. So I'm estimating the center of this square. So 6.5 there, and actually I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to cut here and here, and I'm going to just go a little bit further on the edges, because like I said, I only have a 12.5-inch ruler, not a 13, and I don't feel like just, I think I can eyeball that extra 1/2 inch versus doing a whole another ruler. So I'm going to we're just going to go backwards a 1/2 inch or so, and then forward. And I have a hunch that we'll have to do some repairs on this before we start sewing things together, and I'll explain why in a sec here. All right, holding this down. And we'll go a little over the edge. And you know what? I might actually end up using, I think I'm going to use the mat as my 13 inches here too. I know we talked about that I don't like using the mat for my ruler all the time, but in this case I think I'm just going to. So you'll notice right away that we do have some repairs. So you can see the batting is still out on the edge here, but it's not here. And the reason for that is when we made some of these blocks on the larger, or on the blocks that had applique in, like these two, we actually left a lot of the edge, just for this moment. So when we cut it off, we had extra. However, on the blocks that we pieced together that all had really specific size pieces, we didn't get that extra edge. And when we quilt it, you can even see with this, it kind of pulls the fabric inward. It pulls, we have 3D-ness, so that's that fabric that makes that poof, like that's fabric that's used. So it's got to come from somewhere. So it's coming from the outside. It's just grabbing in, and that's making our block ultimately smaller. So I'm sure there must be a way to counteract this in Quilt As You Go, but I don't know what that is yet. So if you guys have any tips on that, I think we were going to try and repair this beforehand, but I actually think it's kind of easier at this point. So we will have to go and add some more fabric here before we get too far, but I'm going to finish cutting. It looks like all these other ones, all 3 of these, we must have left an edge, so I think we'll be fine in all those spots, but I think, so that might be our only repair. All right, so we cut that nice square, and I am just going to use the edge of these lines just because, I don't know, it's a little bit easier, I think. All right, so 13, I'm guessing is right there, but let's count because I'm nervous about using the ruler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, we're fine right there. All right, and we'll trim that, and then one more. Yeah, definitely enough edge on those 2 blocks. And I think we'll be fine here too. Like I said, I think this is the only one that was a pieced block that we'll need some extra on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ooh, a smaller edge down here, but still enough. All right, so I think I'm going to cut out my other square right away, and then we'll do the repairs on everything all at once. So this is our first one. ready for the repairs, and then we're ready to bind them together in that Quilt As You Go process. But I'm, even just cutting off those edges, it really does look more finished, which is just, I always find that so surprising how much more finished it looks with each step. Okay, so same thing here. So this one looks pieced. This one we might have a problem on the edge. Everything else looks like we left a bit extra. Actually, these two are pieced as well, so we might have a lot of repairs. So we have 3 actually that might need to get a little bit bigger, but we'll just deal with it. All right, let's get that 6.5 inches lined up here again. 6.5. 6.5, 6.5. Really not doing this measuring as well as I'd like. But it's gonna be fine. All right, I think we're centered in there. Oh, Lisa's asking which book to get, Splendid Sampler 1 or Splendid Sampler 2. Well, either or. I mean, they're basically the same thing, just with different blocks. The first Splendid Sampler has one of my blocks in, so there's that. If you want to do the block that I did for the project. However, they're basically the same. It's loads of different blocks. They each have 100 blocks in by different designers, and they all use various techniques. So I would just kind of look at the covers, I would say, and if there's any one that pops out that you really like from there, or you can just page through my old videos, just even just the pictures on YouTube, like the thumbnail pictures, and if there's one that you just love and you really, really, really want to do, then maybe go with that book. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But yeah, other than that, Lisa, they're basically similar style. You're going to learn, or you're going to work through all different sorts of processes. The first one for me on these Facebook lives and YouTube lives here were definitely, I was learning a ton. So this time around, I feel like I know what I'm doing with all the processes a little bit more. So if you wanted to learn more how to do the things, I'm probably a little bit more capable of showing you how to do them now than the first Splendid Sampler. And we're still working on this one, so it'll be a while of us working on blocks yet. But that first one does have my block in. So I gotta say that. Okay, so here is the results of this one, and it looks like, gosh, even up here. So it looks like on all the sides we need to add more white, really. So that's kind of a bummer. We do have a lot of little repairs. So how I'm going to go about that is, this edge is probably okay, except for right here. I would like to just, I've already pre-cut a bunch of pieces for the sashing. I'm just kind of taking those and sewing them along the edges that need repair, and then flipping them over and just like pressing them and then trimming them a little bit more. You can't really tell when it's in the quilt unless you really look closely that there's a little repair. But like this, I can probably get away with the one, just sewing it along that edge and then pressing it. Maybe this one I should on purpose so straight because the designs are so straight in here. I'm kind of tempted to go around almost all of these edges. So I might actually sew a few of these together and make like one long strip that I can sew to the edge here. And then we have that other one that we need to work on as well. So why don't we do that? I'm going to just sew a whole pile of these end to end, almost like we got our own long strip. I'm going to just do a whole pile of them. And we'll use that as a repair strip. That might actually take a little bit of time. Oh, Gretchen said that she made a pile of repairs, and you can't tell in the finished quilt, so that's good. All right, let's sew these together. All right, we're at the sewing machine. I'm just going to sew them by twos, and then we'll get those together after that. Then we'll just press them all with like an open seam. So it's not fun that I have to do this. So in theory, the Quilt As You Go would work better if you have extra on all the edges of the blocks. Or, you know, maybe actually if you're working with a larger block, you wouldn't lose as much on the edges. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm sure there's some trick out there. This is the first time on this quilt that I've done the Quilt As You Go process. Oh, you know what? I was going to clean up and oil this machine too. So maybe tomorrow we'll do some of that. Oh, so Lisa's saying that she fell in love with the tomato pincushion on the first Splendid Sampler. Yeah, so that's how I would choose the books if you're, you know, because there's two of these books. There's the Splendid Sampler, and then there's the Splendid Sampler 2, where we're working on the Splendid Sampler 2 right now. I have a design in the first book, but like I said, they are similar in that they're a variety of blocks by different designers, and it's the whole gamut of different ways to make a block. I think I can sew this onto this one while it's still on the other machine, or while it's on the other spot there. That's cool. But yeah, so I would just find one that you just a block jumps out at you as like, ooh, I really, really, really want to do that block, and then I would just go with that book. You can always, if you get way into it, you can get the next book and use that as well. All right, I was looking for the scissors, but I was using it as my stiletto here. All right. All right, we got a little strip going. Hopefully this gets us far enough in repairs. So I'm going to just press this first. We'll press this all nice and open. Get that. I was going to say get the oven heated up there. But I meant the iron. So I was using the oven all day the other day, and man, you guys, it was supposed to get all cold over the weekend. It got cold today. I am wearing a sweatshirt. I think it's been the coldest today that it's been for ages. But I thought it was going to be cold all weekend, so on Saturday I did a bunch of cooking with the oven and all that, and the stovetop, and this has never happened before, but it must be like a fail-safe on the oven. But I couldn't turn any of the dials anymore. Like I was gonna make some beans or cook some beans, and it wouldn't allow me to turn it on anymore. So I think it just got too hot, which seems crazy. But I was using it all day, and it was still pretty summery outside. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have had that problem if I was cooking all that stuff today. So I'm just pressing these all open. Then there's less bulk when I attach them all. Yeah, that's true. Kathy's saying you can always use whatever block from each book too. Yeah, so if you got both the books, you could just pick out the ones that you want and make whatever size quilt you want, really. I'm making all 100. I'm working my way through, but there's absolutely no reason that you would have to do that. You could just do whatever one you want, or whatever bunches that you want. And I know a lot of people have done it that way. But there's a lot to learn by working on the ones that are a little bit more difficult, or that you're not as or like with something you want to practice, all that too. Okay, so let's do the obvious ones. Like this side one, I know I have to go along the whole edge. So I think I'm gonna just lay it on the edge. Like, I'm wondering if I do a 1/4 inch, I wonder if I have enough. Like this might be okay. Like I might have enough that my fabric will still catch, versus up here, this is a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. Because ultimately I am going to be sewing another piece of fabric on that's a 1/4 inch. So if there's enough that I just get a little bit, I'm not sure I need to do anything here. I think I can decide that later anyway, because I'm going to sew them together like this, I think. So this will be the left side and the right side. So really, tonight, all I have to really worry about is how this edge is looking. But I think I'll try and repair the tops of these a little bit before getting too far. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that edge over here because I think we might get away with that one. But let's do... Let's do this top edge. Let's start there. Because this one for sure, that one's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to just go over this edge a little bit, and I think I'm going to go all the way to the end. And I'm going to just sew a little bit in. Let's see how this goes. I feel like I haven't done this in a while. So I want to kind of match up these edges a little. So it's not going to be perfectly all the way across, but, and then I'm going to just go like maybe 1/8 inch in. And this will be like our little repair. Okay, and I think I might just kind of angle up off the side a little bit here. This might be a little bit of a weird way of doing this, but I think, we don't need all of it. So I think I'm going to just go right to about there, and let's just sew onto our leader. All right, and we'll be able to snip a lot of this off. So here's what I did. So I kind of angled up just a little bit like that. I don't know if that was the best idea, but let's see how it works here. So I'm gonna press this over to the side. And we're covering up, all this edge of batting that was left over there. So I'm going to just take the scissors. Let's just trim this away. All right, and I'm going to trim all this extra edge off. And you know what? I think I might just do that with the scissors too, since I have it right here. So there you can go. See, that's all our extra edge. our stitching will be visible in the quilt, but there's so much going on with this quilt that I'm not so worried about a couple extra lines of stitching here and there. So I'm just cutting with the edge, and I think that's going to be just fine for our needs. There we go. So that's our repair. So now you can see our edge is covered up. So here's what it was before again. Ooh, it's really... Oh, there must have been some... Ooh, this is a little sticky. I wonder if this batting has fusible on one side. We're using all kind of recycled batting, so it's sticking a little. That's interesting. So there might be some fusible on this batting. But anyway, you can see there's a whole lot of extra batting on the edge there, and we have just covered it up with our fabric. So it's not the prettiest thing, but it gets the job done, and it's really going to be minimal. I mean, you're not going to be able to tell that that's doing anything in the quilt at all. So I think that's a decent repair there. I think we might as well repair this edge, even though I think, yeah, I mean, it's close. Once we sew this into the quilt, 1/4 inch, it might just be grabbing this, but I think it's going to make it a little delicate, so I think we'll go over that edge there. But what we really need tonight is to go over this edge. Again, this is probably a little bit more than 1/4 inch there, so we'll want that for sure covered up, so fine, we'll do it here too. I'm going to kind of angle it down, though, I think, again, from the top. First of all, this is a teeny edge. Let's just cut this weird seam off. So I'm going to just go along that edge again all the way to the bottom, and that will be our next repair. And I think we'll get this guy out of our way. There we go. Yeah, right there, I think. We'll guide it up on the other side a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to go along this edge here. Alright, I think that'll do as well. Let's grab another leader. Okay, I'm kind of using the scissors as a stiletto. I'm liking these scissors. I might try and get some of these. They're kind of fun. I like they're like embroidery scissors, but it's got like such a small little area and to cut, and just these long edges that it's kind of fun. Like I feel like I can get in and still see it like from far away versus it being like really close. So I don't know, they've been kind of fun lately, and I've been kind of just using them as my stiletto at the same time too. All right, let's see how we did here. Okay, let's just give it a little finger press. All right, I think this repair is going to be a-okay as well. Probably really shouldn't be going off the edge here like this and curving it too much, but I don't think it's gonna really bother anything for us. I really like how this quilting turned out. This is one that we did last month. It makes me want to try more of these like swirl flowers again. And I've been thinking more about the triangle tango quilt. That's all pinned together and we just need to quilt it, and I wanted to draw like a whole design on it, and I'd love to add, I think, some of these little flowers to that. I'm going to just trim this off a little bit up here. Okay, so I think we're repaired. Well, maybe let's get this bottom edge too. We have it here. I wonder if I need to. I'm trying to like make a call of if I even need to repair these. This one I kind of feel like I might need to. I'm just going to go a little bit of the ways though. We'll go here to here. And then this guy will be done. This one's going to be on a curve, or on an angle too. Then after this, I think we'll just let this one be and then see what repair, if any, we need to do on the other one for tonight. And we'll move on from there. I'm just thinking that these repairs will be a little bit easier now than later, because we're going to have to put all the rows together yet, and I think doing a really long row of repairs is going to be more difficult. All right, so I'm just going off the edge here. Let's get our stiletto, or our leader, I mean. It's kind of nice sewing with this as a stiletto because it's always in my hand and I can just use it to cut right away. That's kind of fun. All right, let's get this guy. I don't like that I have to do this, so that's why on the ones that I can leave a larger edge, like these applique ones, I am, because this is annoying, but it's getting the job done. Let's snip that. Okay, I think we are repaired. So here's what we did again. We did this top chunk across, we did this little guy here and this guy here. So, and I think we're gonna just let this side be and see if we can get away with it. All right, so that guy's done. We need to do this side yet. Now this edge is actually perfectly fine, so we could actually get started for the evening, except for I'm a little worried about this. I do not want to do that part later, so I thought, since we have a little piece left here, why don't we use it for this? And this edge is going to need it later, but let's wait till later for that one. So this one, let's just kind of angle it across here. And then we're ready for the real stuff. Okay, I need to go in from like right here. Yep, that'll work. So I think I'm going to bring that other sewing machine to the sewing machine doctor this week. So that's my old grandma's Singer machine. More recent though. It's like from the 60s, the 1960s, not like that other Singer that's from like the 1930s. So. Or 20s, I think it's from the 1920s actually. But it's all just the bobbin stuff is not aligning, and I thought that one was worthy of bringing to the sewing machine guy. I think I might be able to figure out the problem with the other machine, so we'll see. But I'll let you guys know how that goes. Maybe we can take a look at it before before I bring it in. All right. And that's our last repair for the night, I think. Let's trim it. And you can use a rotary cutter for this too, but sometimes it's just easier to get the nice scissors out. There we are. All right, we're making a pile of extras already. So there, that's our only repair on this one so far. I think I will definitely need to put something there, but we'll wait on that till we are ready to sew on the next thing, which might be tomorrow night. We'll see. But all right, we got our 2 pieces. So ultimately, now we're starting. This is where we now have our 2 13-inch pieces, and we need them to go together. So what we need for that is I'm going to actually get 2 sashing pieces and a little colored block for the middle. So it's going to mimic the ones that we have in the quilt. So it's the sashing, the little block, and then more sashing. So we need 2 of our sashing pieces, which is the same thing that I just sewed a bunch together to do our fixes. And let's just grab one of these fellers. So that's going to be our little square in the middle, or our cornerstone is what those are called. And so we'll sew these together, and then we also, our other element of this is our back piece. So this is already, so in theory this should be cut to 13 inches as well. I apparently just left it larger, which is fine. And we need to actually press this in half the long way like that, just like how we would do for a binding strip. So let's start out by sewing these guys together. So we're still kind of prepping our front strip and our back strip. You could use one long strip for the front as well, but I'm mimicking these. So just so you know, this is these are 1-inch strips because I want them to end up being 1/2 inch. So we sew, a 1/4 inch on either side, leaving the 1/2 inch. And then this one, I believe, is a 1 1/2 inch. Yep. So this is a 1 1/2 inch strip for the back. So it's a little bit different. They're a little different sizes. All right, let's sew these guys together. Oh, congrats, Lisa. Lisa said that she just bought the Splendid Sampler 1 book. Nice. Make sure to post pictures as you go, and feel free to ask any questions that you might have on any of the blocks for sure. We can still look at it. So, and just so you guys know, I actually might take some photos of this, but like, I've washed the first Splendid Sampler quilt a bunch of times already. Like, we use it as a quilt, and all the embroidery looks great yet. Nothing has pulled out. Nothing is looking worn or anything. So just in the normal washing machine, the embroidery on the quilt still looks really good. So if you're worried about that stuff going through the wash, mine looks just fine still after going through a bunch of times. Oh, Barbara, so SS1, that's just kind of our code for the Splendid Sampler 1 book. What we're doing now is the Splendid Sampler 2 book. So this quilt that I'm working on comes from, there are 100 different quilt blocks from this book called the Splendid Sampler 2. It's the second book in the series, and it's like a sequel. The first book was the Splendid Sampler, just the Splendid Sampler probably. And that one we've just been calling it SS1, and we're calling this SS2 for Splendid Sampler 2. So that's what she's saying. All right. here is our little block. I'm going to just give it a little press quick. Look how little that middle is. It's so cute. All right, that looks fine. Okay. Oh, we need to press this guy too. Let's do that right now. So this one gets pressed the long way. If you are using a pattern fabric, you are going to want it on the outside. So if you're pressing it, this will be the pretty side. The back of the fabric will be on the inside. So in my case, it's a solid color, so that doesn't apply. But if you are using a patterned fabric, you do want that to be visible on the outside of this fold. So wrong sides go on the inside. This is a little crooked, but that's fine. I'm going to just give it another press for real here. Okay, so now this should kind of almost look like when you do a binding strip, but a little bit skinnier. So we just got that big long fold going down the middle. And that is going to be for that back piece. So again, just to review what we're doing here, if you're just coming in, we are taking these two blocks that we have here and we're going to connect them. So this is an example of two more of those blocks. They're blocks of 4. So 2 sets of 4. Here is that piece down the middle. That's what we just did here. And then on the back, this piece here, if you can tell, there's a little, gosh, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a strip down the middle here. Well, that's good. You're not supposed to be able to tell. Here's another one that we sewed in with the machine. You can hand sew this or machine sew this. This is what it looks like machine sewn, so you can kind of see there's a little lip when you machine sew it. This is hand stitched, which I think is what we'll do tonight. But that's how they're connected on the back. That's that second piece that here that we pressed. So let's look over that. So we're going to sew both of those pieces to our first side, and then we're going to sew them to the second side. And I'm going to use clips for this. So I have one clip here. I'm going to put this one on the back with the raw edges. Those are the exposed edges. I want those the same side as our exposed edges here. So again, this in theory would be 13 inches. I just didn't cut it down, so mine's a little bit longer, which is fine. We'll just start at the top there. I'm just going to put that there kind of temporarily. And then let's get the clips out. Here are my little wonder clips. You can use pins for this too. All right, now this one, I want to align along this edge here because it's going to mimic that cornerstone. So I'm actually going to, let's look a little bit closer at this. I'm going to align it here. I mean, it's a little weird because I have my repair there, so I can't quite see it, but I can align my edges here, and I can see my stitch line. I'm going to line that up with the sashing pieces there, and I'm going to just throw a clip onto there just to kind of get that in place. There we go. And now I'm going to align it with this edge as well. And I can actually redo my clip now. Let's get so all 3 layers are there. And now I'm just going to go down the edge here and let's clip all of the 3 layers together so all their edges are matching. We'll just throw another clip here. And just because we'll throw one at the end here too. All right, and let's get from the top. So this is going to be a lot of stuff going through the machine, but not any more than your final quilt would either, like if you're not doing the quilt as you go process. This is all the part where everything gets big and bulky. All right, so there we go. We have our back strip here. The fold is right there. Then our front strip, again, we have that all aligned. So it'll be all lined up with our edge when we're done, our sashing piece. And we're ready to just sew down there. Let's do it. And I'm just doing a my normal like 1/4 inch seam allowance here. Ooh, it's gonna be weird with this stuff in my way. So let's remove that clip now. Ooh, I might need to help this out a little bit. A lot of bulk there. Let's get it underneath. All right. Move him. Oops, I could have taken that off already, I guess. Ooh. Machine wasn't connecting there. Okay, so let's grab that leader. So our first pieces are on. All right. So I'm going to actually just trim this excess off here. We don't need that. Okay, so here's what we got now. This, we can just, I'm just going to finger press this. We'll press it later. And now this side I'm going to leave in its spot. I don't want to flip this around or anything yet. I just want to leave it. I'm only going to deal with this piece now. But there, so we got the start of our edging on. Now I'm going to sew this piece to this piece, but again, I am going to leave this intact. I'm not gonna worry about that. Okay, so I do want to line up this edge though with this one again. So let's match those seams. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let's get our clip into there. All right, and let's throw in a few more clips along the way. I wonder if we should sew from this side. I suppose it doesn't really matter. Let's just stay on this side. All right, now we're going to go along that edge. Here. Oh, this machine's kind of, or this presser foot's kind of nice because it's a little skinny, so it's not, this big seam that we just sewed is not getting in the way, which is nice. Let's get our stiletto to help. Alright, let's get another leader, but this will be our last leader for the night. Alright, will this be... not quite sure. I know what you're asking, Colleen. Oh no, we're on Facebook and YouTube. It was acting a little weird at the beginning, but I think we're fine now. All right. So, here we go. We still have this weird flap here. We're going to address that next, but if we open it to the front, now this is it right here. We've connected our two pieces. We have a longer piece, which is awesome. That is the goal. I don't even think I need to really press this. It seems to be just laying open anyway, but I think might as well do it anyway. Let's get the ironing board underneath there. We'll just quickly give it a little press down the center there, just so everything stays. There we go. And even with this repair, it doesn't look so horrible. Like, you know, here's our little repair from earlier. I mean, are you really gonna see that in the quilt? I mean, like, you might have forgotten about it already, right? It just blends in. I think a lot of that's because we're using this white background and everything is kind of using that same white. But all right, we have one more step here. The front is actually done. All we need to do now is deal with the back. So we still have the one raw edge left here, and that is why we sewed on this. So this is going to be basically a flap that covers up our these raw edges. We're just going to cover it right up like this. So you can machine sew this, or you can hand stitch it. In theory, I went into this thinking I was going to hand stitch them all. If your plan is to machine stitch them all down, I would suggest doing this a little opposite. Like, I would suggest how we did this nice piece on the front, this like thinner 1-inch piece. I would consider doing that 1-inch piece on the back so that the back is all sealed up, and then when you flip it to the front has the exposed seams, because then you can flip over that edge on the front and it'll be easier to stitch down from the front than it would be on the back. So I would maybe flip the processes, but I'm going to hand stitch this down. So what I want to do is, there's a way that this was more comfortable than the other way for me, and I can't quite remember what it was. I think I did it this way, where I laid it down and then I stitched on this bottom edge. So I think we'll give that a try. So I need, we'll get this started, and then we will work on this more tomorrow, obviously, because I'm not going to get it done. But let's get Zeb out here. Here's my little Zeb character. I'm going to use like a quilting needle, just something thin. I think I might actually use like that straw needle that I've bent. Let's see, do I have a different one? Okay, here's a different straw needle. It's long and skinny, so if you want to see the difference, here's my normal embroidery needle, and here is what the straw needle looks like. It's just a whole lot thinner, and it's got the small eye, but it's got a really nice sharp point. I'm going to use that for the binding. I think that'll work well. And let's see. I got some thread here, so I don't have to take it off of my machine. I'm just using more of that 50 weight thread. I have heard people say that they really like the 80 weight to do this sort of hand stuff, just because it's thinner. I think we'll get enough to go this whole way if we can. It can get a little unruly if you pull off too much thread, but it would be nice to see if we have enough. All right, I'm going to just move this guy out of the way. All right, so let's just thread the needle here, and then I think we can just tie a little knot at the end to get started. Such a little eye. All right, so I'm going to try and do a few stitches, but then I'll get a bit closer for you guys. So I'm just flipping that flap over, and you can actually see our seam. So there's our stitch line when we sewed this together. I'm going to actually try and cover that up. So when I flip this over, I'm going to pull on it so that I'm covering up that line. I'm going to actually use it as my guide. So I'm going to just stitch, trying to cover up that edge. All right, so let's just go up through that fold a bit just to get started. And all right, I'm going to go around that spot a couple times. This might be a stitching like this situation. This is always a little bit of an experiment when I get going at it again. This is it's an uncomfortable position for me when I start out, because usually I'm doing a binding a little bit different. And I can't ever remember which direction I like going. All right, so I'm going around that spot twice. That's just kind of like our starting spot. Let's make our thread a little shorter. Oh no, this I'm gonna run through the, let's run this through our thread conditioner. Because I want this thread to just feel a little bit stronger, and I want less tangles. So let's just run it through. Oops, I'm just pulling it off my needle. I thought that felt weird. There we go. Let's just run it back up through this way. Gosh, it already feels like there might be a little knot in there. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right. And this is that Wisecraft handmade So Fine thread gloss. That smells amazing. Okay, this thread is almost invisible. It's not. It is a light colored thread. Oh, that's a good idea, Colleen's saying we could press this first, and that might help it along. I like that idea. Let's give that a go. I definitely have not done that yet with this. That might actually help a lot. Ugh. All right, and I gotta reclip this edge. Just get a nice, fresh new edge. It's never a bad idea when you're trying to thread something. Ooh, I might need a needle threader for this. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay. Let's do that though. Let's press this over. That might be helpful actually, to really help me push that edge. So let's just like really kind of dig it over. I'm gonna get my the point right in there. So that's smart. This is a good idea. It'll at least encourage the fabric in that direction, which is where we want to be going. Okay, and I think that's fine. I don't need to do more than that. You know, I am pressing this a little bit, which I don't like, but this will floof up when we wash it, so I'm not that overly concerned. All right, I think I'm going to just hold this upright like this. I think that's going to be the easiest for me. And I'm going to go in that same spot, but just on this bottom edge. And then I'm going to go like a little stitch length away, like maybe a little less than a quarter of an inch. And I'm going to come up through both this back edge and my flap here. That will be our first stitch. There we go. And now I'm just going to go right on the other side of it. So here's the flap. I'm going to go right on the other side of that, but just in the back. And then I'm going to angle up again. So I'm in both the flap and the back. And that's our second stitch. So we're making basically these itty bitty stitches there. And I'm just holding the edge over as I go. And I actually might do this on a flat surface. This might work a little bit better. But I'm going to actually probably stop for the evening here now that we got this started. But let's just let's try a few on a flat surface like this. So I think this is one of these things that if you get going on it, you can have this in your lap and do it just like you're working on a normal quilt working on the binding of a quilt. Yeah, okay, so this feels familiar. I think we might have done it this way last time, doing it on a flat surface like this and just kind of angling up. Okay, yeah, this is feeling easy, so easy and fast, so I think this might be how we do it tomorrow. But yeah, so tomorrow we will finish this guy up for sure, these two pieces together, and we might get about this far on the next piece too. It depends if we have to do any repairs. But yeah, this is just the part where it gets nice and chill and just really, really fun. Oh yes, a TV project, exactly. That's the perfect way of saying it. Yeah, if I was doing this by myself, I'd have my iPad up here and I'd be watching, well right now we're watching Cobra Kai. But otherwise, I'd be watching some show that I can just have on and chill to. Lately, it's been The Flash from the CW. Just an easy show where there's a million episodes and you know all the characters after episode 1, and it's just there's no thinking involved. That is my game for entertainment these days. But all right. So I'll show you what this is looking like up close again here, but I'm just going to throw the needle in here for now. But there we go. So this is our first few stitches on there, and we're just going to go down the whole edge, and we will have basically sealed up our raw edges that way. And it's fun, though, because now you can see all the quilting is starting to go together. It's just a fun process, this Quilt As You Go, and our magic seam down the middle there. All right, so here's what it looks like together from the front. So here you can see, this is our middle piece that we just did. It looks exactly like the other center pieces, so there wasn't, it just completely blends in. Unless you were looking up close and you knew what this process was, you wouldn't know. I mean, each square would be quilted differently, but you wouldn't know that wasn't a decision that was made on purpose, you know? So I'm loving this. The real thing that I like, though, is knowing once we finish these blocks, I don't have to do anything else. I just have to throw binding on this thing and then I'm done, because all the quilting and all that, I mean, it's basically done. It's all together and connected. So far I'm really liking that, because when things get the big and bulky stage, that's when I just start getting like blech with the project. I just want it done at that point. So awesome. I'm excited to get going on this a little bit more. We're going to have a bigger quilt by the time we're done with it this week. So thanks again for joining me on the holiday here, you guys. I appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening. Good night.